Apollo 13 was the third space mission to land on the moon, but it was unsuccessful and the crew members were forced to abandon due to an explosion. The explosion occurred in the oxygen tanks on the side of the spacecraft. This forced the crew to abort the mission and return
The
home.
Apollo 13 mission was launched at 2:13 p.m., April 11, 1970, at Kennedy Space Center. The launch crew consisted of James Lovell, the junior commander, John Swigert, the junior command model pilot, and Fred Heist, the junior lunar model pilot.
James A. Lovell was born March 25, 1928 in Cleveland, Ohio. He received a Bachelor of Science degree from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1952 and was chosen with the second group of astronauts in 1962. He took part in 7 space missions: the backup pilot for the Gemini 4, the pilot of Gemini 7, backup commander pilot for the Gemini 9, command pilot for the Gemini 12, commander for the Apollo 11, and commander of the Apollo 13. In May 1971, he became Deputy Director of Science and Applications at the Johnson Space Center. He retired from NASA and the Navy in March 1973.
John L. Swigert was born August 30th, 1931 in Denver, Colorado. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Colorado in 1953, a Master of Science in Aerospace Science from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in 1965, and a Master of Science in Business Administration from the University of Hartford in 1967.
He was chosen in the 5th group of astronauts in 1966. He was scheduled to be the backup command model pilot for Apollo 13, but was moved to the prime crew 72 hours before the launch in place of Ken Mattingly, who had been exposed to measles. Swigert took a leave of absence from NASA in April 1973 to become Executive Director of the Committee on Science and Technology, U.S. House of Representatives.
Fred W. Hayes was born November 14, 1933 in Biloxi, Mississippi. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering from the University of Oklahoma in 1959. He was chosen in the 5th group of astronauts in 1966, and he was part of 4 space missions. He resigned from NASA in June of 1979.
During the expedition to the moon, a pressure warning signal came on in the oxygen tanks. A little while later, the tank had blown up. The oxygen tank's levels fell along with the power. This caused them to contact mission control and created the famous phrase that Swigert said, "Houston, we have a problem."
From later investigation on the tanks, they discovered wires were exposed in the oxygen tanks through combustion of manufacturing and testing errors for the flight. A spark from an exposed wire in the oxygen tank caused a fire to erupt, and that fire ripped open one of the tanks, causing an explosion and damaging another tank.
Because of the tanks exploding, the Apollo 13 spacecraft was forced to abandon their mission and return home. They were supposed to land in the Fra Mauro site, but that site was changed to Apollo 14 after the 13's explosion.